In this video, we're going to create a simple object that will allow us to change levels. First, I'm going to create a new actor. This is going to act as sort of our gateway that the player walks into, and when it does, it's going to open the next level. Right-clicking in my content browser, I've created a new folder here for blueprints. In here, I'm going to create a new blueprint class. This is going to be of type actor, and I'm going to call this BP end goal because this is going to represent the end of a level. Inside the actor blueprint, remember it pops up in a separate window. I'm going to dock it to the top of the screen just so I can flick between the two. Inside the actor blueprint, we're going to add something so that we can see it. I'm going to add a static mesh. In this case, the mesh could be anything you want. I'm just going to name it the goal mesh. You choose the mesh over here in the details panel. So static mesh in this case, I'm going to look for a cylinder. I want the editor cylinder, nice and large. Okay, so that's the cylinder that I want to use. You can assign a material to it here. In this case, I just want to search for some of the basic assets and choose the basic shape material. This one's white. There's quite a nice one hidden inside of the Show Engine Content tab if you'd like. If you type in wireframe, you can choose the wireframe material. It will just make your goal look a little more interesting. So we have our goal mesh established. In the details panel, with the static mesh selected, the goal mesh, scroll down until you find the collision section. Currently, static meshes by default are set to block all dynamic. I'm going to change that to overlap all dynamic. This is going to allow the player to actually walk through the object. So if I go back to my level, I can now take this blueprint, drag it and drop it into the world. If I position it wherever I'd like it to be, I should now be able to walk through it. The collision preset has been changed. Now, with overlap selected, make sure this box here, generate overlap events, is checked, and this will allow you to use this mesh to detect when something has overlapped it. Going into the event graph here, we're going to create a blueprint. You want to use the onComponentBegin overlap event. You can find this in a number of different ways. You can either right-click and search for onBegin overlap and start to find the collision onActorBegin overlap or other events. But if you want it to be more specific and easily accessible, go to the variables drop-down, select the goal mesh itself, and you'll see a list of events here on the right-hand side that you can choose. We want the second one, onEventBegin overlap. Another way of finding these is if you choose the component from the Components section here, Goal Mesh, and scroll right down to the bottom, that same list of events is visible here. So, whichever way you desire, make sure you select onComponentBegin Overlap with the Goal Mesh selected, and you will get a red event for onComponentBegin Overlap with Goal Mesh in brackets. This means we are looking for specific overlaps from the Goal Mesh. When this overlap event is called, the other actor should be the player. We want to set it up to make sure that this is the player. So I'm going to get an equals operator here. So if this actor is equal to the player, and I'm going to get the player by typing in get player pawn. This equals operator returns a boolean, true or false, if these two are the same. If the actor which has overlapped the goal mesh is the player pawn, then this will be true, and we can use that logic by setting up a branch node, or if you've done any programming before, these are otherwise known as if statements. You can find this by holding down B on the keyboard and clicking, or if you right click and type in branch or type in if, you will also find the branch statement. Connect the equals operator up to the branch statement, and now you will have a piece of code which evaluates whether the object that has triggered this overlap event is the player's pawn. We can test that by putting in a print statement, connecting it up to the true. If this print statement puts a simple debug log on the screen, if the player is the component which is overlapped with the goal, then we should see the word hello printed on the screen. I click compile up on the top left, save this blueprint to make sure the code is saved, and now I can test this. Where is that end goal? If I walk into it, there in the top left hand side of the screen, it says hello every time I walk into this. So that is detecting the player, and the code is working properly. The reason why you do a check like this is so that not any random object which overlaps the end goal triggers the code. You don't want to, for example, fire a projectile or a spell or something, or have an enemy walk into the goal and trigger the code to load the next level, which we do by using the node open level. In this case, open level by name. And connect those two up. You could type the level name in here, level 2, whatever you've called your level, but then this blueprint would only be usable once. It would only ever send you to level 2. So instead of typing the level name in here, I want you to create a variable to control it. And you can do this either by creating a new variable, calling it next level, and making sure that it is a name. This is a purple name variable, so make sure that whatever we're plugging it into it is also of the same variable type. And you could then plug that in and change this. But there's another way of doing that much quicker. Just right click on this node and select promote to variable, and it will create a new variable for you ready to be renamed of the name variable type straight away. So I'm just going to call this next level name. So this script, when the player walks into the goal mesh, this branch will be evaluated as true, and when it is true, we are going to load whatever level is saved here in the next level name. Currently there's nothing because we haven't compiled this blueprint. If we do, currently that's set to none. If I go back to my level now, with the end goal selected, I can look in the details panel. And I cannot currently change the next level name because I have not exposed the variable. I have not set it to be instance editable, so there is no default variables section in the details panel. To set it to instance editable, select the variable inside the blueprint, and you can either click the instance editable checkbox in the details panel or select this little closed eye indicative of making it a public variable, so this variable can now be accessed outside of the blueprint. Compile, save, and back in the level we have a little section here called default for the variables built into this blueprint. The next level name is available and we are able to name it. I've set up a simple second level which I have called L_level2. This is extremely text specific. Names have to be character and case specific, so L_level2 should work, or I can select my level, go to rename it, and then copy that text and paste it in here just so that I know it's accurate, and then we can test that. If I walk into the cylinder, we should load level 2, and here we go. Simple level with 4 boxes set up in it. In this way you can change between as many levels as you want, but bear in mind these levels are self-contained instances and will not save any data as you move between them. We'll talk about saving games another time.